You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Hello, and welcome to The Real Short Box. My name's Kim.
My name's Kevin.
And my name is Donald Sweet Ass Donald.
Okay, all right. Today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Marvel movie. We were fortunate enough to get a pre-screening to it.
Which Marvel movie was it?
Oh, you know, like the Captain Marvel movie.
That's right. Yes. Yes, Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Carol Danvers.
Dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, quick, what did everybody think of it?
I enjoyed it, yeah.
Okay, you enjoyed it?
It's pretty good.
I mean, I always enjoy it. Like,
I would put it with like around the same realm as the first Doctor Strange.
okay,
Really?
Yeah.
I'd say it's not award winning, but it's a fun film. You know what I mean?
I enjoyed
Like-
it a little more than that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And do you think you did that because of the fact that it was a strong female
Oh,
lead?
absolutely.
Okay.
1000%. But
All right.
yeah, I mean, I'm slightly biased on that front, I guess, but yes.
I felt that you were trying to imagine yourself in the role, wearing the costume,
Always.
flying around and kicking some serious ass.
Always.
Well, she did have the little necklace on with the little symbol, Captain Marvel symbol on
That's
it.
true.
So
She did.
I give her that. That was clever.
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank
very
you.
smart.
That-
They appreciated it too.
I know, and I can tell that you're a big Brie Larson fan.
Mm-hmm. I do. I love her. I think she's great.
Yeah. Almost to a level of creepy though.
Oh,
like
is
your,
it? No,
your
get
fandom.
out of here. Stop it.
I saw the posters.
What posters?
I saw the posters
Uh-huh.
in your place.
Oh, yeah? Did you?
Yes, you're a
Even
little
though you
slightly.
are deathly allergic to my
upset.
cat and you can't come in my place.
I was in your place.
You feel like
no, I was.
You feel like a twin sister to Brie. Almost
do
like
I?
you feel like you have this like almost like a twin sister.
I feel like the narrative of me on this podcast is... I would like to know.
Oh, wow.
Well,
It is what it is. You just live with it. That's your fault, not ours.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
You made your bed, now lie in it.
Okay.
All right, so let's get started with this. Let's not make the fans wait any longer.
yes, the movie starts out with one of those awesome voiceovers you see in a lot of these sci-fi type movies.
Well, it actually starts out with the Marvel logo, followed by the impending doom kind of music that you would get from the usual, openings.
True. We can't forget that. I mean, that Marvel opening, everyone loves that logo. People go crazy when they hear that. Dun, 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 dun. People can start going nuts.
Right? Yeah. I've seen a few people that it's just gotten out of hand.
That's true.
Yeah, I saw somebody get up and do a backflip in the aisle. I was like, you're gonna hurt somebody. Accidentally kick a kid or something, Boom, punt that kid across the theater.
I love Marvel so much.
Yeah.
I gotta do a backflip, somersaulting.
Yep, nerds were bathing.
I
It was
know.
crazy.
Marvel somersaults. It's so true, man. I mean, Lucasfilm, when that would come on for a Star Wars movie, people would go crazy. But now with the Marvel logo, it's out of control.
Right, Marvel's the new Star Wars.
Yes,
Oh,
it
sure.
is.
Yeah.
But the voiceover, the voiceover basically explains, the history of the Kree and their rivalry with the Skrulls.
Yes.
You learn about the Supreme Intelligence, which comprises of all the great minds of former leaders and philosophers of the Kree. So that's, you get a nice little education.
Supremely intelligent to smush everyone into one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, you get a nice little education.
It's like, I want this dessert and this dessert. I want some cherry pie and chocolate cake, and then I want a custard and, some pixie sticks. Let's just smush them all together. Supremely intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It sounds like almost like an ice cream.
Right. Yes, the Supreme
Yeah,
Intelligence.
Supreme Intelligence, like, yum, yum.
Yum, yum.
Supreme
You can
Intelligence.
see my face right now.
Yum, yum. So the voiceover leads to a flashback of Marvel and the Star Force, and they're fighting, and it's kind of that they're fighting around or near Earth, and the Captain Marvel and his crew gets kind of chased down by the Skrulls down into the atmosphere of Earth, where we see who's the lady? Monica's mom, her mother. Yeah, what's her
Maria?
name? yes, thank
Maria
you. Thank
Rambeau.
you.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Maria, yeah. So Carol and Maria, they're on a test run of some new fighter jets, if I recall. Mm-hmm. And that's when Marvel's ship kind of interrupts, and Maria and Carol both crash, and Marvel lands. And unfortunately, a tragedy strikes, and one of them does not survive. Now, I'm going to let you guess who does not survive out of the three of them. It's going to be Maria.
Oh,
She does not survive, unfortunately. Spoiler alert, but, you would know that if you just looked at the title of this podcast. Yeah.
yes.
or the movie, yeah. And, true. Very true.
Could you imagine if the opposite was true? People like, what's going on here? That trailer really fooled
Let's
me.
make that movie
Yeah.
where everyone just gets their shit fucked up. Wait, what?
Everybody just dies. And,
The lead character
credits
just
roll.
died. Now what?
right. So Marvel is stricken with almost kind of, I would say, grief in a
Yeah, he
way.
felt bad.
Right. So he gets it's too late to say Maria. So he finds Carol and then takes her aboard his ship and goes back up into space. And this is after the Skrull ship had crashed and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but sadly they did not make it. Marvel dealt with them.
Right.
Or so we think.
So we think, yeah.
Right. So,
The cool thing is the Kree scientist was able to save Carol's life.
yeah, Annette.
Yeah, the one she played by Annette Bening.
Yeah, Annette Bening played her, and
Injections for that sweet blue blood.
right.
Sweet blue blood.
Yeah, gotta love that blue blood. And so you seen the trailer, the thing, yeah, the tube with that goo coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in the next scene? We see who is it? It's Agent.
Coles?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
Agent Coulson.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm really bad with names sometimes.
Sorry.
so-
Yeah. Well, me too. Obviously.
Well, you like the show, Shield. You watch it
Right.
all
I
the
know,
time.
I'm so bad with character names.
Agent Coulson
Good
and
portion of the time. Nick Fury.
right, Nick Fury. They
Yes, got that one.
they're investigating the wreckage of this later. Oh, while later, they have it stored, and they go in to investigate it, and that's because of some more appearances of some of these types of alters or heroes or whatever we want to call them that the Earthlings are noticing. So they send Fury and Coulson. They have this theory, and they go to investigate the wreckage of that ship, of the Skrull ship, and they do something, and they set off a homing beacon, which then notifies the Skrulls that, someone's messing with our tech, our old shit. And so not only does that notify the Skrulls, but it notifies the Krees as well, because the Krees monitor pretty much everything the Skrulls do, and vice versa.
And also, aren't both groups trying to track down a certain item?
Yes. They're after the Tesseract.
Yes.
Yeah.
The original thing that what was it, Loki or something?
Yeah, Loki used it in the Avengers movie.
Yeah, so that was kind of a cool thing to bring back, the Tesseract. I wouldn't have thought about that, to be honest, because that has been around for a long time.
That's right. And Shield have possession of it, as we know later on in one of the earlier MCU films.
Yep. Yeah. So when they find out, when the Kree find out about this warning, they go to send down a team to investigate. That's when Carol stows away because. Okay, so to bring it back a little bit, and sorry people, because this movie was a little
Flashbacks.
a little more complicated than some of the others. A lot of flashbacks and stuff. But Carol's been having these flashbacks as far as what's been taking place in her past life. They wiped her memory when she was taken aboard the ship and injected with the blood and stuff. So she doesn't know about her past life on Earth. So they wiped her memory, and when they wiped her memory, as with any movie or any show that we know, when your memory is wiped, always bits of the past come back.
Yeah.
So she's been having this for a while, and she wants to go on that search party when that beacon comes off because she's been having flashbacks of what she thinks is Earth. So they won't let her because obviously they don't want any of that shit to manifest. So she stows away on the ship and comes back to Earth anyway and goes down. And then that's when she gets into a shit ton of trouble and like this big fight starts. This big fight takes place.
You're talking about the one that takes place on the train?
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, to me, it was kind of funny because you guys remember Family Guy when Peter would fight the chicken about the coupon.
Still running joke to this day.
Right? Yeah, I think they did one recently with Donald Trump.
Yep, they sure did.
Which is ridiculous, but funny nonetheless. But yeah, so it kind of reminded me of that because the fight took place over various types of transportation and all over the place. So it was kind of funny that that the fight took place over that. And what was next? The fight and the shield. Oh yeah. So Coulson goes to get hit by the
one of the scrolls.
Right, the Skrull that was hidden there on Earth as a sleeper agent. What was his name?
I believe his name was Talos.
Talos, yes. So Talos has basically possession of the Tesseract at this point, and he's about to blast Coulson. But I think there's an explosion that takes place, and part of the Tesseract, a shard of it gets busted loose and embeds itself in Danvers, who steps in the way of Coulson getting the brunt of the blast, which I think is
his life. Yeah,
is funny if you think about it. Remember in the first Avengers film, how does Coulson die?
He steps up in front
of what? Isn't it the Tesseract?
Yeah, I think
he
so.
Gets blasted with it. Yeah, I think so. So it's funny that
the irony.
Yeah, the irony. So I like how they did that. They showed that Coulson was protected the first time. And it's like, you only get one chance here, buddy.
You only get one.
Right. So, but it's also clever because it does kind of, in a way, it alludes to some of the stuff that happens on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's true.
Which, according to Joss Whedon, isn't canon in the MCU. So Coulson apparently is still dead in the MCU. But he's alive in the television version of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So they kind of do service to both the movies and the television series, which I thought was very clever.
Keep Clark Gregg, a talented actor. Keep him working.
Keep him working, yes. So the shard gets embedded in Carol. And Talos gets away with the Tesseract. And so when Talos gets away with the Tesseract, Carol gets captured, though, because she stepped in front of Coulson and she took the blast. So when she gets hit with the shard and stuff, it knocks her down. What we don't know is how she gets the powers of a...
very special abilities.
Right. She gets the powers of Binary, who first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men, if I recall.
That's right. Different storyline on how that happens, but yes.
Right.
And then once they start doing all the tests on Carol Danvers, Nick Fury realizes who she is and what her powers are. So Nick Fury breaks Carol out so they can go find Talos because he realizes that there's a bigger threat than just necessarily her.
Right.
So they're going out. They go on a little car adventure to...
Right, that's where we see the car trip, the little road trip thing where they're talking and the cat and all that stuff. Yeah. And it's interesting to see Fury, a younger Nick Fury, interacting with somebody that's a big superpower.
Yeah.
Just so casually. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, he kind of got sucked in this adventure. He's about ready to resign from S.H.I.E.L.D. He was getting sick of it. He wanted to leave the organization, but then this kind of sucked him back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, was it Murtaugh?
Yeah, Murtaugh.
He's over the shit and ready to retire or whatever, or move on. And
so Carol Danvers is like his Riggs, essentially?
Yeah, I guess Carol's kind of the Riggs to his Murtaugh. Yeah, so with Carol gone rogue, what happens then?
Well, with her going rogue, the Kree have to send our boy from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, Ronan the Accuser.
That's right. And it was Lee Pace, right? That played Ronan the Accuser.
Him.
Yeah. I know you're hoping. Maybe.
That
sounds right.
Highly possible.
Yeah.
It was cool about that. They get a little bit into Ronan's past. You see the pain he's that he's coming from as why he does what he does. You know, his family being wiped out by the Skrulls.
Right, and it was particularly a harsh way to do it too.
Harsh
like
way.
he sees them; they're like kind of like laid out and flayed in a way, not too gross, but you know, there's just a lot of blood, and it's Kree blood, so it's like bluish, you know, so they can get away with it more.
Not exactly White Walker style, but bad enough.
Right, yeah. So that's what kind of you can tell. That's what kind of hardens Ronan as far as like who he is as an individual, and why they send him to go get Carol, because they've officially marked her as a rogue agent, so to speak, because she stowed away and she escaped and she's going down to Earth and stuff, and they don't know what she's going to do, so they're like, we got to send Ronan down. And Ronan's a little too much, a bit too much, just a bit too much, just a scotch, yes, just a little bit too much. And so Marvell hears of this,
Mr. Jude Law.
right? And he's an honorable man. He's Dumbledore, so you know he's also Dumbledore, so he's very wise too.
Yeah,
so
of
he's
course.
like, I gotta go down and in a way warn Carol that you know, she needs to come back and that Ronan's coming, so I have to get there first if I can. And he also wants to warn her of the impending Skrull invasion that's going to be taking place on Earth. So there's a lot of pieces in play up there in space. So we do see a fair amount of space fighting, a fair amount of space action, which does akin a lot to Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's more of a healthy mix, I would say, than Guardians. Instead of
healthy
almost
balance.
always in space, it's
Yeah.
half Earth, half space.
Yeah.
So I like that. So Marvell comes down to save Carol and warn of the impending invasion.
Yes, and they're able to repel Ronan's attack, but then unfortunately Marvell was killed by Talos the Skrull.
Right, because Talos was there with the
There.
Tesseract, and killed Marvell, and then that's when
A big fight ensues.
that's when a big
That's
fight.
when Carol goes into space and defeats the Skrull.
Right, because she unlocks the
the
Binary.
the power of the binary force that's inside of her that's been locked in because of the Tesseract piece being in there. So she flies into space to defeat the Skrulls and the Kree eventually join in. They feel that they were wrong in a way to send Ronan. Ronan, of course, we know doesn't get killed because he later appears in Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that.
Right.
But he's definitely hurt and has to lick his wounds, so to speak, and be on his way. In a manner of speaking, Talos is definitely defeated, and the Kree and the humans.
Yeah, through S.H.I.E.L.D., they have a little secret armistice.
Right. Yeah, they decide that they're going to work together to help defend that sector from any type of invasion or anything like that. Because anytime when you have a force like the Skrulls and you have a force like the Kree, the Skrulls are such an invasive species. It's almost like in a way, a parasite, really, if you think about it, because they'll pose as you and they can destroy you and become you, and then move on to the next person
Right.
until they've completely repopulated, with their beings, with their people. And it's interesting, though, the history of the Skrulls. You know a little bit about that, right, Kevin? Like in general?
A little bit.
Like how they came to be originally, the Skrulls?
Didn't they? And now, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't it have something to do with the internals and the deviants?
Yeah, and that particular race of the Skrulls was the ones that won out. The ones that could pose as other people, and they were not the necessarily nicest of the bunch, and that shows you that it's kind of sad because in a way the bad people kind of won.
Yeah, that's true.
Over that race and.
Push the other ones out.
Right, and I wouldn't say all of them are terrible. I think there was in Fantastic Four and a run in the comics, there was a Skrull
That was good.
that Johnny Storm fell in love with, right? Lydia or Lila or
yeah,
something
Lila,
like that.
something like that.
Yeah, and that was in the 90s, I believe, 80s and 90s, that late 80s, early 90s or something like that, he
Stars
fell.
someplace.
Right, and fell in love with her, and she became part of the team for a while, if I recall. Yeah. So the armistice was created between Earth and Kree. We see later that Fury is alive but injured. Of course, he's got the eye the eyepiece now, the patch.
And also he gave Carol that special 90s beeper.
Right, to reach out in case he needed him, or he needed her, or Earth needed her, or whatever. So she goes...
But it can only be used for the most dire of circumstances.
Right.
And hence why we didn't see her like pop up like in any other event.
Well, yeah, also, but the part of the armistice was that she has to stay
Right.
away from Earth.
Right.
But to be kind of like the protector of Earth in a way, but in the outer realms in space. So she's like, instead of being the Guardians of the Galaxy, she's the Guardians of a certain sector. Almost Green Lantern-like in a way.
Right.
Which is, sorry for the Green Lanterns. They didn't get... Oh, that movie was so bad. They did not get the job done.
We pray that one day it's done right.
It'd be a hell of a thing if they could do it.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should honestly... if they start with Hal, that's fine. Don't get me wrong. But they could also start with the Corps, too.
Matter of fact, I think that was the original intention. It was going to be called the Green Lantern Corps movie, like the new version.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be the way to go.
I wonder if that's ever going to happen, though, now.
Depends. You just need the right executive and the right director and the right screenwriter with the right script. When all that comes together, then it'll happen.
Because has there been any announcements past Wonder Woman? Because I think that's going to be like Shazam comes out in April, and I think Wonder Woman comes out in like November or something like that. Or?
I think Wonder Woman got pushed back to 2020.
2020. Okay. Well, then that's like the only other besides
another Batman movie. I know that
in the works, and there's a Joker film. But besides that, there isn't like anything.
I thought The Flash
else that I've heard of on the horizon.
they're doing The Flash, aren't they?
Really?
I don't know if it's still taking place.
Oh, that sucks.
I mean, I don't know. It's possible.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, everyone. Just wanted to mention real quick about a shop in Canoga Park, California called Spiro's Heroes. Elliot, the proprietor of the store, has over 300,000 books in what's called the Temple of Comics. That's Spiro Heroes in Canoga Park. Spiro'sHeroes.com.
They haven't even announced a sequel to Aquaman yet.
That's true.
Which is surprising.
I know it's made $1 billion, you would
right?
think.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Like, we were making fun of that. And Entourage, they were making fun of that. And we were laughing about it because they made an Aquaman movie and it was hugely successful.
And to think, it's the most successful non-Batman DC movie.
Yeah.
Even more so than the Superman movies.
That's crazy.
How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
That's because your second boyfriend, Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Kim has a lot of boyfriends.
Yeah. I mean, the first boyfriend's space is empty, so.
That's right. You kicked Jude Law out of it.
Yeah.
You're like, get out of here, Dumbledore. I'm gone. Yeah. So then we get to the after credits scenes. There's two. We're only going to tell you one. One is where we figure out that there is still a Skrull in the
SHIELD organization.
Yeah,
yes.
in SHIELD, and the Skrull is gets out of the SHIELD and goes into his car or whatever, and then activates a device, and the device shows the whole kind of the globe. It's like a hologram thing that pops up and it shows the whole globe of Earth, and then it shows all these little green,
like tens of thousands of agents,
little markings, all over the Earth, and it's all these sleeper agents that are Skrulls. So what this leads up to is what Kevin and I, and this is
a theory,
a theory that Kevin came up with that I completely agree with, that Iron Man is not who he says he was.
Yes, and he doesn't know it either.
Right, Iron Man's a Skrull. That's what we're thinking. That's one of our theories we're building upon for the next Avengers.
Yeah, for Endgame.
Yeah, which we will also be talking about at some point. Hopefully, if we do get a lovely invite from all the lovely people over at Disney, hopefully, and Marvel. Hint, hint, wink, wink, hint, hint, winky, wink, hint. So yeah, I mean that's basically. Anybody have anything that want to add? I know.
I'm still trying to see how she's going to fit in with the Avengers Endgame still. Like a little bit. I mean, I have an idea, but I still want to see how she's going to be fully integrated and then eventually allegedly take over as the leader of the group.
Yeah.
And phase 4. I'm trying to see how that's going to work.
Well, I mean, the other end credit scene kind of gave us a hint to it, but not enough. And like I said, we don't want to go into too much detail there because that kind of, in a way, spoils the excitement for people that are going to be going into the Avengers and watching it. But, it does give a little bit of a hint Did you catch though? Like, man, I don't know. I felt like that one character in there was alluding to Galactus.
Which one?
The character that Annette Bening played.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I thought that like there was one scene with the council and stuff, and she was in there and they were talking and everything, and they were like, there's another, there's worse things we should be worrying. It was kind of like
Concerned with
Kal-El's dad talking about, the destruction of Krypton when everybody's worried about Zod, and he's like, no, we gotta, worry about
something else.
Krypton's the bigger threat, or exploding, and we got to worry about that. So I think that I don't know. Like, could they have been alluding to Galactus?
It's possible.
It's possible because they knew that that they were working on getting the rights back and stuff. But it could also be, another character. It could be like the Beyonder.
Now that would be something.
Yeah, they could have been alluding to the Beyonder. And the Beyonder, for those of you who don't know, Kevin, go ahead and tell them. Tell the masses. The Beyonder.
AKA, tell me.
Well, for the original Secret Wars story, the Beyonder is a omnipotent being that comes from his own universe, and he was let in through the Molecule Man piercing a small hole into his universe. And then as he came in, he decided to set up a little tournament between good guys and bad guys of the Marvel Universe, in which Doctor Doom was able to essentially win out and steal the Beyonder's powers, which was very interesting. Shows you how badass Doctor Doom is, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But the sequel to Secret Wars 2, it wasn't as good. They tried to turn him into a jerry-curled, purple-dressed human walking the earth.
Oh, yeah. It was rough.
It was rough.
We don't recommend it.
We don't recommend that one.
No.
Just the original.
First one's good enough. It's funny that, not Convergence, when DC did Convergence, when they were moving their offices from New York
to Burbank.
To Burbank, yeah. It's funny that they did Convergence, and Convergence is basically just kind of Secret Wars, in a way. It was just pitting the heroes against, each other and against the villains and stuff. And it was just really stupid. It was like recycling old material.
Old story. It was like 30, 40 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, nobody liked Convergence. In fact, if there is somebody out there that liked Convergence, please let us know and give us a reason why. Because I'm very curious if anyone at all liked it.
If you give a good reason, Donald and Kim will give you a $1,000 prize.
Does an IOU count?
Nope.
Oh, come on. One of you guys comes from a trust fund.
No.
I thought when you guys were telling me some story about being from a trust fund and having all this money.
No, I think that was another movie we were talking about.
Me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it was a movie I wanted to write. It was called the Kevin story, the story of Kevin.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's you.
I wish I had a trust fund.
You're a trust fund baby.
I wish that was true.
But I think that's it. Basically, that's like the long and the short of it, in a way. It's always hard to piece everything together, like when you see the movie and you're not allowed to take in anything to make notes or recording device or anything like that, and you write this stuff down afterwards when you get back, and it's like trying to remember everything. And granted, there's 3 of us, but it's still...
I have a terrible memory.
Right. Well, me too. Me too. So it's like we rely primarily on Kevin to get this stuff down.
He's the notebook.
Right. And then we throw in a little bits of information here and there, but and then we get it all down, and then you look at it, the notes later, and then you're like, what the hell does that even mean? So it's funny after a while trying to decipher this stuff of the code, so to speak, that we have written to ourselves. It's like the invisible ink when you were a kid, the marker. You wrote in invisible ink, and then you'd hand it to a friend, and they would scribble it in so they could see the note inside that you left. That's basically what it is when we go to these screenings. But it was a fun film. It was very fun. I would say it's, like I said, it's probably Doctor Strange level, and I would put that at Aquaman level of fun. So I would say it's a good companion piece to other Marvel movies. I don't know necessarily how they would go about doing another one if they did. I think if they did do another Captain Marvel movie with Carol, I would like to see Alpha Flight be introduced.
And you know what? There would be enough
into
time.
the realm.
There'd be enough
world.
time to get that done too. By the way, because the MCU would be fully. Sorry, the Fox Marvel characters would be fully integrated into the MCU. So you know what? That could work.
Oh, I don't even know necessarily that Fox had the rights to Alpha Flight.
They have to because they're X-Men character, X-Men. You know, from the X-Men universe.
Oh well, I mean, you got to look at Ronan first appeared in a Fantastic Four comic.
Yes, that's true.
And he was a deal I think that they made to get that character over.
Right.
So they might have been able to make, some type of deal to get Alpha Flight because, Alpha Flight would be a tough one. But I think if you do, one of the recent ones, more recent ones that they did was Alpha Flight was in space and they were fighting along with Carol to defend the galaxy. So kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy with Alpha Flight and Captain Marvel. So I could see that kind of taking place.
Okay.
Maybe the formation of the team or something with Carol, and Carol like brings them all together, or I don't know, something along those lines for the sequel. But we'll see. It's all going to boil down to what happens in the next Avengers film, and obviously, since we just all saw the trailer for this new Spider-Man film, which is coming out after the Avengers film,
Right.
it's looking like Peter Parker's not dead.
Thank Jesus.
Shocker. So obviously some things get reversed because he's ash. He's turned to dust, so
Yeah.
he'll be back.
I know Kim cried when Spider-Man
A little bit.
dissipated.
A little bit.
You like that little British guy.
I do love him. He's great.
He's fun.
Yeah.
He's definitely portrays the character.
Yeah, especially
really well.
the teenage version.
Yeah.
Right.
Embrace it very well.
Yeah, I agree. So that's it. That's pretty much it for us. If you have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to put that in the comment section on YouTube or on our Facebook page or on our Instagram page if you have questions as well. Mm-hmm. We do post a lot of stuff on Instagram and on Facebook, and we are very engaging to people that reach out. So feel free to reach out on any of those platforms. You can also follow us on
Instagram,
yeah, iTunes, and
I didn't know what you were going for on that one either.
and as well as a multitude of others, and maybe we'll see someday. We'll see you
At the comic shop.
Yeah.
Oh, we're giant nerds.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.